Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a brand new study that tackles a huge question in the world of AI development. If an AI can build an entire app from scratch, what's the single most important thing a human needs to tell it? You know, the one rule to rule them all? Well, the answer's pretty fascinating. Let's get into it.
So first things first, let's get our terms straight. We're talking about agentic code assistance. Now, this is way beyond your basic code completion tool. These are autonomous AIs that can handle the whole shebang. We're talking planning the solution, writing the code, running all the tests, and even submitting a pull request when it's.
And that level of autonomy brings up a really important question, right? If an AI can just build an app all by itself, how do you make sure it builds it the way you actually want it? Who's in charge of setting the ground rules for your project? Well, to find out, a group of researchers from the Universidade Federal de Minas Gerais decided to peek under the hood. They dug into the configuration files from a ton of real-world projects that use a popular AI agent called Claude code, all to see how developers are really instructing these things. Their whole investigation zeroed in on one specific file, claude.md. The best way to think about this file is like an instruction manual or a project briefing that a developer writes for their AI assistant. It's the main channel for passing down that crucial human project-specific knowledge. So, how'd they actually get the data? They were super methodical about it, using this three-step process. First up, detection. They scanned all of GitHub for any project that had a claude.md file. That search returned, wow, over 4,000 repositories. Then came selection. This is where they cut through the noise, filtering it down to only popular, active, real-world projects. They wanted to make sure their results were actually relevant. And finally, fetching. They went and grabbed all those instruction files from their top-tier list of projects. And after that whole process, they were left with a really clean, high-quality dataset of 328 unique configuration files. This became the raw material they used to figure out what developers are actually telling their AIs. Okay, so that's the how. After all that work digging up and sorting through files, what did they actually find? What are the most important rules that developers are laying down for their AI partners? Well, what's so wild is that one topic just blows everything else out of the water. The number one thing, by a long shot, that developers tell their AI is about software architecture. And as you can see from the data, it's not even a close race. Let's put a number on it. A massive 72.6%. We're talking nearly 3 out of every 4 instruction files had specific, detailed rules about the project's software architecture. What this tells us is that developers believe the single most critical job they have is to define the structural blueprint for the AI. And we're not talking about vague suggestions here. This quote from a real project shows you just how detailed they get. Developers are laying out core patterns, explaining exactly how different pieces of the code should talk to each other. They're essentially teaching the AI to think like an architect for their specific project. This pattern gets even more obvious when you look at which instructions get bundled together most often. Check out the top 5 most common combos. What's the one constant? Architecture. It's the foundation of every single popular setup, whether it's paired with rules about dependencies, testing, or whatever. It all starts with architecture. So, okay, architecture is the number one instruction. But what does that really tell us about the big picture? Let's zoom out a bit and look at the conclusions and what this all means for the future of how humans and AIs are going to build software together. The main takeaway is really clear. These instruction files are the critical bridge that connects human expertise to raw AI power. And the absolute most important pillar holding that bridge up is software architecture. This really hints that the role of a developer is shifting. Maybe it's less about writing every single line of code and more about being the high-level architect who designs the system and then guides the AI. And you know what? This research is just getting started. The team is planning to look at how these instructions change over time. And get this, they also want to build a tool that could recommend best practices for writing these files, which would make it way easier for anyone to be an effective AI-powered software architect. How cool is that? So there you have it, a deep dive into the user manuals we're writing for our AI coders. If you found this breakdown helpful, well, you're in exactly the right place. Go on and hit that subscribe button for the Vibe Doc channel. You know, you should probably do it before an AI agent just decides to do it for you. And I'll leave you with a little something to think about. If you had your very own autonomous AI coder, ready to build anything you can imagine, what would be the absolute first rule you'd give it?